In third year, Abertay introduced an innocence project. It then changed to a justice project over the next kind of year. There was a group of students, we all signed up for the project. There was prisoners that had been unfairly tried, they had been locked up in prison, and our job was to go through the evidence and try and raise grounds of appeal to send back up to the SCCRC and hopefully overturn their conviction. All different students want to go into different areas, and me personally, it's always kind of been criminal. So yeah, I think it is satisfying to know that there's somebody sitting there in a cell, you know, hoping that somebody can overturn their conviction, and to be able to be a part of a process like that, you know, is unreal. Majority of the time we're put into a group of two, so you have two students to one client. You normally get an overview, a short overview of what the issue is at hand. You go in, you deal with the client, help resolve their issue.
Gives you a chance to firstly just engage with the clients, engage with people, which is what you'll be doing when you go into practice, that you can never replicate that in a classroom environment, because usually the person might be quite emotional, particularly where the employment's involved, so it's how you manage that, and then you have to think about what's the legal issue. Usually it involves thinking on your feet, because it will change from what you could go in thinking that you're going to give certain advice, but that then changes once the client's actually in with you. When you start applying for traineeships or jobs, employers want to see that you've got some experience of doing this in the real world, because having the little bit of paper that says you've got a degree in law or that you've done employment law is one thing in the classroom environment. But then I've taken that and I've gone out into the real world, I've applied that, and you can actually reference it by saying we do the Citizens Advice Bureau.
I had a group of men for a collective redundancy, and I think this was my second session in the clinic, and I went through for about 9 weeks with the guys, and they got £66,000 redundancy pay, and you know, I think that in itself is amazing to be a student-led clinic and to have results like that. You know, you've done tennis coaching out with university, and you think it relates to a certain badge within the here, you know, you can work your way through this badge and evidence it, and it goes in 6.2. So, you know, although you didn't do this through university, it's still there, and the employer could still kind of see that there's evidence for your leadership skills. So I definitely think it is something to take advantage of.
And without having that cab, I wouldn't have anything that I could reference. So no, I would thoroughly endorse it. Everybody
that comes to study law, you know, we all end up with a degree, with a transcript, and we're all in the same place. It's what you've done during your time at university that will differentiate you from all the other candidates. Open badges are really good because you can work your way through these activities that you've done. You know, it's signed off by the law staff, so you know there's a lot of weight put on this. So not only does it give you experience about how to kind of log and evidence things that you've done out with uni, that
it gives you can focus on that, on your workbooks, and when it comes to ultimately applying for jobs, you've got somewhere that you can go. When they ask a question, reference leadership skills. If you've got that in your workbook, which comes with the backing of the uni, then it's always something you can use.
Absolutely.